he's pretty proud of himself. He spent the night outdoors, and now he's like, I get to spend every night outdoors now. I'm racking my mind trying to figure out how that happened. Maybe I should just chill out, pretend I'm a spiritual teacher. Hey, yesterday we talked. Don't quit bothering me. There we go. I like the do not disturb button on my phone. I wish I similarly had a do not disturb button on the inside of me. Maybe I do. Maybe we're all discovering that together. Anyway, is this going anywhere? It is. Yesterday I talked about the transition from being a material person to being a spiritual person. That's probably only interesting to people who have some sense that they're making a transition from being a material person to being a spiritual person. Material-minded people are probably not interested in that message. They think it's a bunch of fluffy poppycock, a bunch of silly puffery, that unicorns and rainbow kind of stuff. And that's cool, but I'm of the opinion, and you can feel within yourself if you truly feel that you're a spiritual being having a material existence. Well, yesterday I talked about this transition, and that the transition from material to spirit being is very challenging. There's a period where we're unfitted, good word, from the material world and its concerns and instincts and causes and conditions, and we're in a transitional phase to being spiritual, and we don't really have our roots in the spiritual firmament. We don't really understand the spiritual principles, but there's something dawning on the inside of us. A great light has been born within us, and once that's born, and if it's nurtured inside of us, it will continue to grow until the spiritual nature inside of us actually takes over our affairs and is our provider and is our strength and is our courage and is our creativity and takes care of everything for us. Emmett Fox, in his book, The Power Through Constructive Thinking, that's actually the first chapter of the book. It's called The Wonder Child, and it's a story of how the spirit inside of us is often born through great duress, great suffering, great angst and anxiety, great turmoil and tumult, and that it's actually the harbinger of a great birth inside of us. And the spirit that's born inside of us at the start is very fragile. It's very susceptible. It's like a little blade of grass springing out on a sidewalk in a dark, violent, poverty-stricken city that only has concrete and gray, and there's no green anywhere, but a little blade of grass begins to grow up and through. And at the start, it's unbelievably fragile and vulnerable, and anybody could step on it. So we learn to protect and nurture that little light inside of us. And as we do that at the start, as we take care of our wonder child, our spirit child inside of us, as we nurture it and we help it grow, as we try a stick to it and we support it and we protect it from people who would damage or hurt or would unwittingly or deliberately try to dismiss or damage or degrade our spiritual nature, including ourselves, our own lower nature. As we begin to do that, this little spiritual being inside of us begins to grow and mature and get stronger, and it begins to wrestle with problems, and it learns how to solve them on the level of thought and on emotion and on intention, rather than pushing and shoving and fighting against others and through competition. We learn to how to nurture this spiritual nature inside of us, and it does grow and it does strengthen. And like any tree at the start, which you could easily snap with your fingers, give it about 30 years and you can drive a car into it. You shouldn't, and it's going to be perfectly stable. Our spiritual nature is going to grow onward and upward forever and ever, and it's going to grow in strength and capacity and resource. And as it does, we're getting closer and closer to this wonderful polarity shift in our consciousness, where as the spiritual nature takes dominion, that it solves all of our problems for us. In other words, we take care of it like a mother does with a child at the start. Human babies are notoriously incapable of taking care of themselves for, you know, years, obviously. And the mother takes care of the baby, and the baby grows, and sooner or later the baby will grow up, and take care of the mother and the parents and supply them. And it's the same with our spiritual nature. We're not meant to be spiritually degraded or infantile or immature beings forever, but it just feels that way because as we begin not to solve problems with our material minds and our material nature and solve it through thought, through feeling, through intention. At the start, we ain't so good at it. We're not good at it like picking up a violin for the first time. But after a while, you play some spiritual scales, you do your octaves, you practice every single day diligently, and you only have to practice spirituality 2 times, when you want to and when you don't want to. But when you do, sooner or later, our spiritual nature is getting stronger and stronger. And then it takes dominion. And then we live with this great faculty that was dormant is now active. And we begin to do the most important thing of all. We begin to bring harmony and love to the earth rather than more chaos. We bring heaven on earth, which is our charter, it's our assignment. So anyway, we're all in this transition. We're all taking care of and nurturing this wonder child, the spiritual child. And yeah, it is difficult. We do get kicked around, but we keep solving bigger and bigger problems with our spiritual nature, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but we do get better at it. And it's good to remind ourselves that where we're headed is the point where spirit takes dominion and takes care of all of our affairs. And that is a glorious day. I'll see you there.